Welcome to Her Fantasy Football. You can listen to us on Blog Talk Radio / Her Fantasy Football and on iTunes, where you can also leave a nice little comment about how wonderful we are. I like to start the show off just talking about myself. This is the draft edition, you guys. Last weekend, it was the NFL 2016 draft. A lot of exciting moves, a lot of awesome things, a lot of offensive linemen, defensive linemen we were not going to talk about, but it was great all at the same time. Make sure to chat with us on Twitter at HerFantasyFB and on Facebook / Her Fantasy Football. I'm your host, Courtney Kirby.
And I'm Ashley Williams.
And I'm Brandon Marianne Lee.
And last week, Brandon was so lucky to go to Chicago for the draft and represent SiriusXM in Her Fantasy Football. Brandon, you want to tell us a little bit about what you did?
Yeah, it was really fun. Media credentialed at the NFL draft. It was quite the experience. You know, I don't know about you ladies, but me personally, I'm not really a college football girl, mostly because this job consumes my life. So during football season, I'm like, oh no.
Way too many teams to follow. Yeah. Way too many.
And so many teams, so many players. So it was really fun to go there and talk to a lot of the college football aficionados and get kind of the lowdown of all these different players. Also, it was my first time interviewing players one-on-one in the flesh. The first guy I interviewed actually was Darren Lee, the linebacker who got drafted to the New York Jets, and we made Lee family jokes because clearly we're related, and then we moved on. And it was so weird because also there were just like hordes of media people around each of these players at this was a Play 60 event the first day that I got on there on Wednesday. But then I did the red carpet on Thursday night and Friday night. So on Friday night, I got to meet a lot of the Walter Payton Award nominees and winners, like Gary Barnidge, Reggie Wayne, who, by the way, looks like he could still be playing ball. It was a little depressing.
He does look young. Yeah.
And so trim. He was maybe the most in-shape guy walking the red carpet. That included people that are playing today.
Not surprised.
And I told him that. I said, this actually makes me angry. I'm now angry not here anymore.
Thanks, Reggie.
Yeah, what a nice guy, too. Really fun. Gary Barnidge actually retweeted a photo of me and Pilar Lastra, who I got to do the interviews with. She is great, also a SiriusXM host. But it was great to represent Her Fantasy Football and the family for SiriusXM. There was kind of like one representative from, a variety of shows that were on the draft coverage. It was really, really great. Jeff Ratcliffe from Pro Football Focus, John Hansen, the fantasy guru, Mike Dempsey, who does just a ton of things, including running with MJD. And I actually got to meet Maurice Jones-Drew.
Very nice.
And Ike Taylor, who, if you ever get to watch their videos together, it's classic. It's good stuff.
Classic.
So I definitely would suggest anyone going to the draft. However, it was in Chicago, and I will say it was cold.
A little chilly?
It looks so cold.
It was, and it was funny because the first night I actually got to go home and I watched some of the announcers and everyone was talking about it. It was like, okay, we're really cold. But what you don't know is that a lot of those announcers were inside. We were outside. And Saturday, we got to be there during the day. It was raining, pouring rain, and windy and cold. So even though Chicago, great city, they really were great hosts. I wish it was in May, really cold, really cold. But, man, I actually bumped into the big silver bean by accident.
Yeah, the bean. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, oh, here it is. And I just took a selfie and walked away. It was kind of one of those things. So it's a fun city. It was really great. It was a good experience.
How fun. We were in a snowstorm in Colorado. So.
That's right.
Yeah, you can't be safe anywhere in April, though, to be honest.
No.
Yeah, unless you're in San Diego, so maybe we should go to San Diego next.
Snowing and raining the whole time.
Los Angeles, man. Now we have reason, right? Thank you,
That's right.
Rams. Thank you. And let's get into it. We're going to go over each team and their draft picks during the 2016 draft, and we're going to do it by draft order of this year. So we'll start off with the first pick overall, the Los Angeles Rams, who I want to say congratulations to one of my girlfriends, Amanda, who made the LA Rams cheerleading squad. It's very exciting. So.
Hey, congratulations,
nice.
Amanda.
And she's in her 30s, and she was scared because she's going up against a bunch of 21-year-olds. She rocked it.
That a girl. Very
So,
nice.
Here. Maybe we can get some insider info right there.
Yeah.
So the Rams, I'm not sure they've given us quite a reason to jump ship and move to LA yet. but we will see. Certainly, their first pick was a good one. For trading up to get the first draft position, you would certainly expect the Rams to scream from the rooftops and be completely ready with their pick, who was Jared Goff. He's a solid player, but they went all the way to the very end. They took their time and he was actually getting nervous. He was like, "Oh man, I thought it was them, but maybe they're gonna go Wentz." He was getting nervous, but all was good in the hood. All's good. He's a solid player. I like him a lot when I was watching the combine. I think it'll be really interesting to see who has to budge when it comes to running an offense in LA. I really feel bad. I'm already starting off Debbie Downer with my very first team, but. What I do,
it is the Rams.
It is the Rams.
I mean, they moved up to it, but still.
But Goff spent 99% of his college career lined up in the shotgun or pistol formation, whereas the Rams spent the least amount of time in those formations in the NFL in 2015 of all the teams. So we're definitely going to have an adjustment period on our hands here. And in fact, he only took one snap under center his entire collegiate career, which again is not wholly unusual for collegiate players. But interesting enough, when you look at how other college players are stacked up in this ever popular air raid kind of offense that he is accustomed to, Nick Foles has the highest passer rating of 87.3 of all quarterbacks who have played in that air raid offense in college. And we all saw how Fisher and Foles panned out.
Eesh.
Yay. So, as I said, is Fisher going to budge and deviate a little bit from his notorious pro style, play a little bit more to Goff's strengths, or will they try to mold him to his style? We shall see.
The real question is, will he ever get over his tiny hands? Because he's the whole reason we did that hand measurement during our SiriusXM Combine special.
But clearly size doesn't matter as he still went number one. There it is.
Yeah.
Now, they did surround him with some players, which is good. They picked up tight end Tyler Higbee and picked up another tight end as well because Higbee has some off-field issues, so that's good insurance for them to pick up another guy. They also picked up a couple wide receivers in the draft, Faro Cooper and Mike Thomas. They took 5 offensive skill players overall out of 6 picks, so at least they're identifying what their problems are.
Oh, yeah.
So that's good.
I'd say so. With the second pick, the Philadelphia Eagles got that pick from the Cleveland Browns. If you're wondering why we haven't mentioned the Browns yet in the first 2 picks, that's why. They're not there yet.
Newsflash.
So obviously the Eagles traded up to get whoever the Rams chose not to pick, right? So they knew they were going to get Goff or Wentz, and they got Carson Wentz, which I personally like more. I love him. I don't care that he's from North Dakota, small town or small school.
He's a sweet guy too. He's
adorable.
Cool.
They're both good.
Very nice. People love him. So I mean, I'm into it. I can't, obviously there's been plenty of drama with Sam Bradford wanting to trade. Then his agent came out yesterday saying, that, well, this is just stacked up for Wentz to win the job.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. They put down on Twitter, do you think Sam Bradford will stay or go? And just people's responses are so funny to me. Like, he's done nothing. He's getting paid to do nothing. He can't stay healthy. And it's true. If you can't prove yourself within the years that you've been in the NFL, it's going to be tougher to win the job against a rookie that they picked the second pick overall. And so I totally get it. So whatever. The USA Today said that it was the worst draft team in the draft was the Philadelphia Eagles, but whatever. Wins people. They'll get it once it comes around. They'll get it. But anyway, so that's really where it all started. Did I? In the 5th round, the Eagles.
It's in your notes. I'm sorry. Sorry, we had a mental breakdown here.
Oh,
we'll keep it in.
Oh, yes.
I just want to make sure. I was like,
no. Oh my gosh. So Brandon just texted because I'm about to talk about the 5th round pick of the Eagles, running back Wendell Smallwood, and in one of my quotations from him, there's a bad word, and I'm not going to say the bad word But
I
previously
almost
in high
exploded.
school,
There's a couple bad words. Actually, 50% of the words in the quote are bad. But
They're really bad. It's a horrible
context.
quote. I can't even believe it's here. I literally had
But
it.
I love it. I love the awkward
well,
silence.
it's drama because like Philadelphia Eagles drafted this guy, and back in the day, it was a while ago. He was still a senior in high school, but he made a very bad tweet about Philadelphia and how all the black gentlemen are, like, not all, 75%, he said, were homosexual, and he did not use the word black or homosexual in his tweet.
So I freaked out.
So she's like, do not say that. It's like, I
just
know.
typed it over.
I thought I'd already said it. I was like, oh, I said it. No, I did not. I would have never said that.
Sorry, I'm still recovering. Okay. I hadn't heard that story.
So, yeah,
obviously.
so not only had he tweeted about Philadelphia being filled with homosexual males, but he also was arrested in July of 2014 on charges that he attempted to intimidate a witness in a murder case. Those ended up getting dropped because the guy decided to plead guilty. So it was like, he just sounds like a real winner to me.
So a good pickup is what we're saying here.
I'm very excited to see how the Philadelphia Eagles fans welcome him.
Way to go, Philly.
They're a tough crowd, too. They're tough. So.
They are.
Yeah.
The Eagles also picked up 2 O-linemen, so that will help whoever is behind the center, which I'm guessing will be Wentz eventually, if not in Game 1. And then the Eagles' defense was already 5th for fantasy points last year, so I would just look for them to continue because the rest of their picks was for the defense. So, yay, Eagles' defense and special teams.
Turnovers.
Turnovers. 3rd pick overall was the San Diego Chargers. And we all remember when the Chargers drafted running back Melvin Gordon in the first round last year, and we saw how well that turned out for all of us fantasy owners.
To be fair, the line was terrible.
The line was terrible, which I will get into that in a moment because the San Diego Chargers didn't draft any O-linemen.
They're crazy.
They're nuts.
It's crazy.
Which I think might be a good thing for Danny Woodhead. Right, because they're going to have to use them still. They're going to have to use them the same way they did last year because they have nobody to protect Rivers, and Gordon can't get off the line. So I think that might be actually a good thing for Woodhead. So we'll see. But they did pick up defensive end Joey Bosa, which we love. Love him. Great. He's going to be fabulous.
Is he the broiest bro in the whole
draft?
Of the broiest, yeah.
Yes.
He's like Jersey Shore bro, old school. I love it.
Right. And they drafted Tarvius Brown, which both will help that defense. So it's very good. They need that. And I tweeted, the San Diego must be really scared of Sanchez.
Petrified.
The Chargers also picked up tight end Hunter Henry. And yes, I said his name correctly. It's not Henry Hunter. It's Hunter Henry.
No disrespect yet.
No disrespect yet.
You got to earn her
this
disrespect.
was a really good pickup, and for fantasy purposes, I know a lot of people ended up picking up Ladarius Green and using him in a couple games that you had to use when Antonio Gates was out with his suspension or injured. He was and Hunter actually might see more than Green did. So keep an eye on him this offseason, especially with Antonio Gates being a dinosaur. He might have to be put in there. And again, unlike other teams, they picked up no offensive linemen, so it's really unfortunate. 4th pick was the Dallas Cowboys.
So I covered the Cowboys all season last year, and I couldn't find this one prop that I wanted all year. And so during the off season, I did a big clean out of my apartment, and I finally found it for my last show covering them. So hopefully I cover them next year because...
Yes.
Hello.
There it is.
I love it. I want the Cowboys now.
In Dallas.
She was in Dallas.
I was there for a conference, and I was like, well, these look right for me. So I got Dallas Cowboys sunglasses, and they're very weird to see through. But anyway, let's talk about Ezekiel Elliott.
Woohoo!
All right, running back, Ohio State. If you are playing fantasy football and you have not heard of this guy, it's unfortunate because someone else has probably already drafted him in your league, so you're out. It's nuts, you guys. People are going crazy for him, and he is fantastic. First round pick. You'll have to take him in the first or second round of your own draft if you want him. Right now on Fantasy Pros, his lowest ranking is 11th amongst running backs. His highest is 2, and I've been reading think pieces about how he could be the number 1 draft pick of all fantasy football this year. I'm not going that far, but what I will say is that Ezekiel Elliott was the absolute best pass blocker and run blocker in the college football landscape by a long shot, rated that way by Pro Football Focus, by the scouts, everyone. He is a complete back. He also gained over 1,000 yards after contact last season. Just after contact.
Legit. He's going to be good. I see him going like 4 or 5 overall.
Yeah, he's a legit guy. My concern, the offensive line's still great, but they get beat up. But Tony Romo. And also I thought that they'd go with Darren McFadden and Alfred Morris hybrid with the offensive line, but hey, Ezekiel Elliott's a special player. They had a chance to get him. They went for it. They also drafted the high upside, super risky outside linebacker Jalen Smith in the 2nd round. Now, it was actually the Dallas Cowboys team doctor that did the surgery on Jalen Smith's knee in March. They think he's going to play next year, so maybe they know something we don't know. But this is a fantasy show, so who cares? Dak Prescott is the quarterback that they drafted, who may or may not be the successor to Tony Romo. The problem is that he is a work in progress, a 4th-round pick. Now, only 6 quarterbacks have played in 25 or more games that were drafted in the 4th round, but both Kirk Cousins and Tyrod Taylor were drafted in the 4th round, and they should join that group shortly. So then it'll be 8 quarterbacks. So we'll see. Times, they are changing. Listen, they tried to move up to get Paxton Lynch, and clearly the Denver Broncos got them. They gave them a better deal. Basically, Seattle wanted to keep their 1st-round pick, and Dallas wouldn't do it. And Jerry Jones actually said that, he maybe should have overpaid for him. So I don't know what that says about Dak Prescott, but
yeah, it's like
it is what it is.
It's not a vote of confidence.
No, but you know what? When I was at the draft, I got to interview a lot of people from the NFL Network, just a lot of random analysts, and a lot of people were high on Dak Prescott. He was someone that people were watching. So I don't think this is a bad pick. I'm just saying, for fantasy purposes, I don't know. If you're in Dynasty, though, the problem is Romo gets hurt.
Well, I was going to say, hopefully he'll have time to rest behind him.
That's what they want. And
they have another backup, too, don't they? He's 3rd string.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think the problem is that last season, all of the other quarterbacks not named Romo went 1-11.
So bad.
They got real problems there at quarterback.
Yeah,
and Tony Romo has 4 years left on his contract, which I think is a little crazy, considering he's 36 years old. But hey, let's do this. The problem is he broke his collarbone twice last year, just got a plate put in, and he's had 2 back surgeries in the past 3 years.
It's broken. It's broken.
Going to be tough. They also added running back Darius Jackson in the 6th round, but he's not going to compete for the starting job with Ezekiel Elliott. Don't worry, he's more of a special teams guy.
There you go, 5th pick, Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jags were shocked when they got when their number was up in 5th position and got arguably the best defensive player in the draft in Jalen Ramsey. They were shocked he was still available. This was a great pickup. The Jags had the pieces that they need on the offense, and I like that they looked to the defensive position for the 1st pick. I like this. What I like most about him is that he can play multiple positions in the secondary, corner, safety, and nickelback. And he, didn't have a lot of interceptions in college, but, he has the build that we're looking for, and he has the speed and a crazy vertically broad jump. He actually tied the broad jump.
Love the broad jump.
He won the ACC for indoor and outdoor long jumps. His 40-yard dash is great. He actually considered competing for the Olympics. So this kid is a premier athlete, and I think that he's going to provide great value to the Jags. The only offensive player they took was a quarterback in the 6th round, who, as we all know, is just going to serve as a backup. So virtually there's nobody even remotely fantasy relevant from this draft for you and the Jags.
Jalen Ramsey was one of my favorite interviews that I did, and he said that he prepared for months for the combine. Former track and field athlete, like you said, considered trading for the Olympics, and then he even had the wherewithal to plug his dad's gym. I was like, you'll go far, my friend. I was like, I get you, Jalen. Jalen
I
Ramsey.
get it. I
And
get it.
he's an athlete. He's a baller. So I think he's great.
He says he gets up at 6 every morning and works out at least 2 hours. He says it's my job.
It is your job. Would he please wake me up at 6 a.m. to join him?
Seriously.
I know. I
'Cause
need a little
I need that motivation.
Yeah.
I even right now have my alarm set to like the Bruno Mars "Marry Me" or whatever shit to try to motivate me. And even then I don't. I just I snooze my own getting married noise. I'm just like, nope. I want to sleep.
Well, millions of dollars would help motivate me. I'm not going to lie.
That's true. That may
So-
motivate me more than a marriage even.
Good
Yeah.
for you, Jalen.
Yeah.
6th pick, Baltimore Ravens.
Call me.
I'll go to your dad's gym, Ramsey Gym. So they started off with an offensive lineman in the first round, Ronnie Stanley. It's good considering almost every skill player that they had last season for fantasy got hurt. So, way to go.
Yep.
Fantasy-wise, the 4th round was where you found the action. First, they picked up Chris Moore. He's a wide receiver from Cincinnati. To me, that says a couple things. First of all, they know how old Steve Smith Sr. is, which, hint, hint, he's Father Time, so he's old. And, I want him to be great, but reality is reality. And he would be retired if he hadn't had that injury. It is what it is. Or they're worried about Brashad Perryman that we still have not seen in
I've
action.
not seen.
And their coaches always say, we don't know.
The
You
man,
can tell
the myth.
They're annoyed. I think this guy's going to compete. So they also picked up Mike Wallace. Now, both of these guys are down the field kind of players. And Joe Flacco has an arm. We kind of forget that. That's how they won their Super Bowl, was that in the playoffs he came to life, and that Torrey Smith catch over,
Don't remind me. Don't. Stop.
Okay. I'm stopping.
Till too soon.
They also picked up in the 4th Kenneth Dixon, running back from Louisiana Tech. He is the perfect fit for the Mark Trestman offense. Now, here's the deal. They have Forsett, but he's turning 30. And then they have Buck Allen, who was one of the most inconsistent running backs when he had to go in at the end of last year. I think this guy might be a starter. I think
Interesting.
sleeper alert, Kenneth Dixon. Actually, when scouts compared him to someone, they compared him to Le'Veon Bell.
It's not bad.
That sound good for
I like
fantasy
that
owners?
comparison. I'll take that.
Oh, I'm listening. And then in the 6th round, they also picked up Keenan Reynolds from the Navy. Now, they're asking Reynolds to transition from being a triple option college quarterback into being a slot receiver and a kick returner. They love him. He actually set NCAA records for touchdowns, 88 rushing touchdowns. Remember I told you he was a quarterback? Anyway, normally only the owner calls the prospect to say, hey, you've been drafted, welcome to the team. They actually decided, because everyone felt emotionally attached to him, that they put him on speakerphone, and almost everyone in the room started crying when they drafted this guy.
Wow.
And also, Bill Belichick tried to trade up to get him in the 6th round, but he couldn't convince his other people to do it. People love this guy. He's a huge character guy, respectful. They are a big fan. They're going to give him a chance to do something. That kind of emotional attachment is actually tangible. I'm not saying that he's going to beat out Kenneth Dixon, but what I am saying is he's going to be involved. Keep your eye on him. And if you're in a deep, deep, deep dynasty, they're not going to cut this guy loose. That's what I'm saying.
San Francisco 49ers.
Well, they drafted a lot of defensive players and offensive linemen. That's good. They're building in the trenches. Fantasy, well, this team doesn't have much of fantasy impact anyway. They took quarterback Jeff Driscoll from Louisiana Tech in the 6th round, along with running back Kelvin Taylor from Florida and wide receiver Aaron Burbridge from Michigan State. Driscoll's a project. Taylor's going to stay way below Carlos Hyde and Sean Drawn on the depth chart, but Burbridge has a chance to win the starting role. He's inconsistent. He's had some drop issues, but then he's had moments of brilliance. He finished his season with Connor Cook of Michigan State being his quarterback with 85 receptions and a 58.2% catch rate, which is still better than Mike Evans and Brandon LaFell.
I was going to say, still better.
Still better. 1,258 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's a good route runner all over the field. He was able to run routes all over the field, so he knows the whole route tree.
I'd like to say this should not be wide receiver goals, is to have a better completion percentage than Mike Evans.
Or Brandon LaFell. He drives me crazy. Right. They both were at exactly 50%.
These are not goals we're shooting for.
But let's be honest, the 49ers starters right now for wide receiver, Torrey Smith, Quentin Patton and Bruce Ellington, which, by the way, is my yearly, I wish that I could call him a sleeper, but he's on the 49ers pick, right? But those are the three guys. So I think Burbridge, depending on how deep your league is, low-end guy that may have some upside.
Doubt it.
Yeah, he's still on the Niners,
He
but
still doesn't have
Remote
anyone to throw him the ball.
yeah,
There's the whole Gabbert.
that's the
Captain
lowest
Ahmed.
uptick upside I've ever heard.
It's the saddest upside
Yeah.
I've ever given you.
You're saying there's a
Apologies.
chance. All right. Well, 8th pick, Tennessee. The Tennessee Titans got a buttload for trading away their first pick over the draft to the Rams. It was amazing. So not only did they get 8 draft picks this year, but they are set up for next year to have a great draft.
Worth it.
This is like a
They
damn.
won the draft
This is
in
a
that
damn
one move
Daniel
alone.
moment. The Tennessee Titans built their team, and they're looking good, and they can be really good in 2 years. So again, in dynasty leagues, this might be like a team to look out for. I'm not upset with them. They took OT Jack Conklin with the 8th pick, which is great. Hello. I mean, this is a good pick not only for Mariota but for the running backs as well. And he's a great person. Everybody loves him in the locker room. So, yay! And they also picked up a guard in the 6th round. So, and then speaking of the running game, the Titans drafted running back Derrick Henry out of Alabama. He becomes the clear number 2 guy already, like immediately number 2, sharing the ball with DeMarco Murray, not sharing a lot, but just a little. He's going to be the backup to him, which
Worries
is
me.
kind of that might turn into a bigger role depending on how Murray is this year. But that means that Antonio Andrews, Bishop Sankey, David Cobb, Dexter McCluster will not be draft worthy this year.
They were
Again.
never draft worthy.
Again.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So
Hashtag
hopefully-
analysis.
Hopefully that means we don't have to talk about them this year at all. Thank you.
Ever.
Thank you so much, Henry. In the
I'm
5th
afraid of a
round,
committee situation, though. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I think that they said that they have 2 workhorses now. And that's always kind of a scary thing. It's like, oh gosh. But I mean,
William
Murray's
Stewart.
their back. So, we'll see, but we'll have to keep an eye on it for sure. They drafted a wide receiver. There's a lot of receivers on the Tennessee Titans. You wouldn't think of that because you don't own any of them in fantasy, but there's a lot. But I do like Sharp. His last name's Sharp. I would keep an eye on him. I keep an eye on all of these receivers this offseason and see how they're going to do because I think this offense is going to be a whole lot better this year. And then the rest of their picks went to the defense, so anything's going to help a team that finished 22nd in fantasy points. So, but overall, I'm really excited about the Tennessee Titans. Chicago Bears.
Well, they didn't get a quarterback, so they decided to call trusty or not so trusty Brian Hoyer, who is now backing up smoking Jay Cutler. So
Woo!
Awesome.
if that's not a fantasy nightmare, I don't know what is.
Amazing.
They took running back Jordan Howard from Indiana. A lot of people think that Chicago's uncomfortable with Jeremy Langford and Kadeem Carey holding down Forte's fort. Get it?
See what you did there. See what you
The
did there.
Forte.
Well, they should have thought
that's
about
good
that.
stuff.
When they treated Forte that way now, shouldn't they?
Well, we're not even going to go there. I'm still depressed. Anyway, it's going to be a competition or perhaps a committee. Again, already depressed. Howard's 6 foot, 230 pounds, and I love big backs, but big bats.
I was like, do you? The
I
song's
love
about to
big
start.
bats running around in my
She
house.
cannot lie. Brother Buzz can't deny.
Big bats.
When
That's
those
just
big
creepy.
Fly in your face.
Yeah.
You just
Anyway.
can't beat this disgrace.
Right. This is a sports show. Maybe it's like a baseball game. Anyway, he's very talented, but he's almost always banged up.
Yeah, I hate that. I don't like that entering into the NFL already banged up.
I'm
Consistently
not
banged up.
risk adverse, but I am injury adverse. I've learned that about myself. So just FYI. Their last pick was wide receiver Daniel Braverman from Western Michigan. He's small. He's 5'10", 177 pounds. But he only dropped the ball 11 times out of 198 catchable passes.
All right. I'll take that.
Consistent. He's a slot receiver in a shallow depth chart. Right now they have Alshon Jeffrey, which he's Mr. Soft Tissue Injury. I feel bad, but it's true. I don't want it to be true, but it is. So he's always hurt. Then we have Kevin, I haven't played yet, White, and
Yeah.
Eddie Royal.
Do you think him and
That's about
Bashard Perriman just meet up for drinks and they are just like, when are they going to figure out we aren't real people?
I think we're fake. We're fake people.
They're fake. They're ghosts. They
Well,
don't
but Kevin White actually thought he was going to play at the end of last year. That was a coaching decision where they were kind of like, the season's lost. We're going to save this guy.
Uh-huh.
That's different than Bashard Perriman, where his coach was like, I don't know who he is or where he lives. I'm sure he's around here. I mean, they were just confused. They acted like Bashard Perriman was like an enigma.
We think he still lives here.
I don't know. I think he's on the team.
We send paychecks still, so...
It's weird.
He sent me an email a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it's weird.
Nice.
There you go.
New York Giants. Well, it was clear the Giants were going to focus on their defense, which I can't blame them at the top of their draft. Round 1, the Giants took cornerback Eli Apple. A lot of jokes
Great
about
name.
double Eli's and the Big Apple.
People
Got
are
it.
so creative.
We
It's
got
like
it.
holding down the forte.
Yes. That's exactly what it is. And in the 3rd and 4th round, the Giants took a safety and a linebacker. You know, last year the Giants' defense finished 12th in fantasy points, but 16th in interceptions and 30th in sacks. So clearly that's where they needed to focus on. So it's a good thing that they got that side of the ball covered. In the 2nd round, the Giants added wide receiver Sterling Shepard after losing Ruben Randall this offseason. If you guys remember, Ruben does not play for the Giants anymore. Shepard is only 5'10", but he supposedly has a great vertical, and he's a slot receiver. And at this point, we haven't seen Victor Cruz do anything yet.
I kind of like that. He could post some really interesting mismatches in terms of them not taking him seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
Yeah,
with a great vertical.
And the other people he has to fight for his position is Dwayne Harris, who's mostly special teams, Jeremy Davis, and last year's draft pick Miles White. And they say that he's going to be doing a lot of runs with Miles White and see how it goes. But if Shepard steps up in that slot position, which is really important for your team's success in the offense, he could be playing. Especially depending on how Victor Cruz goes. It's going to be very interesting this offseason with Victor Cruz. He says he's 100%, but he hasn't yet practiced. So we'll see. I want the best for Cruz, but Shepard is kind of a bit of a sleeper this year.
Cruz is the one that plans the meetups between Perryman and Kevin White. And
Yeah.
Oh, poor Victor Cruz.
I do feel bad about him, but I mean, come on.
Come on.
In the 5th round, the Giants took running back Paul Perkins, just to add to all the other running backs that they have on the team. Jennings, Williams, Vereen, Rainey, and about 4 other running backs. But I do love Perkins. I do think he's really good. I think he luckily for him, he joined a team, yes, has 20 running backs, but they're all mediocre at best.
Yeah.
So he has a chance to really fight for some serious time. So it's a guy you want to keep an eye on for sure. I
just hope they pick one and stick with it and let him get into a groove.
Right, I know.
Is he our first sleeper?
I think that if I was drafting tomorrow, I would draft him at the end of the draft. If I could, I think want to be one of my guys, like one of my junk picks that, you're drafting in May or June or July, you don't know exactly what's happening yet. I think Perkins is the guy to look at. And lastly, the Giants took a tight end, but looks like he just blocks. He doesn't actually catch the ball. So
They love that.
They do love that.
Mm-hmm.
They do. Tampa Bay.
They took a kicker in the 2nd round.
Yes.
I love it.
On the bounty.
Kickers matter.
Kickers matter. Kickers matter.
This is crazy though.
They even traded up for him. They gave up
So
their 4th round
crazy.
pick.
I love it.
I love it.
It is crazy, but I love it.
Well, here's the rationale. It's actually a very interesting conversation. So, obviously the knee-jerk reaction is WTF across the board. But beyond that, we'll go beyond that. Aguero is the most accurate kicker in college football history. He has never missed a kick from inside 40 yards and has never missed a point after. Ever. in his entire college career. He has a 71.9% accuracy beyond the 40 yards. But when it comes to 40 yards, he's perfect. So what is this going on? So a lot of people are comparing him to Sebastian Janikowski, who, by the way, was a first-round draft pick. And to be fair to the Raiders, he's their number one scorer. So
that is
who
true.
won that?
Yeah, who won that? Who
Yeah.
won that? They need to go back and correct that draft grade they gave Oakland back in the day.
That's right. It is
Sebastian
an
turned out well. Less.
And Sebastian Janikowski is still one of the most consistent kickers in all of football. A lot of kickers go up and down. They have a good year, bad year, good year, bad year. Sebastian Janikowski stays the same. Now, here's the problem. He has a monster leg, Janikowski. Aguero, not so much. That's the reason why there's such a huge drop-off between 40 yards and beyond. Now, he could, he left college early. He could bulk up. He could get better at the long ball. It's a little crazy. But, the point is that let's say you're Tampa Bay. You're going to be in a lot of games that you're going to get blown out, right? Because you're still a building team. But if you're in a close game, if you have someone that has 100% accuracy at kicking, those are points.
Instead of throwing the ball in the end zone to Douchey McDouchey, who can't catch the ball, Mike Evans.
Sorry, Mike
You
Evans.
just put in the kicker. You just put in the kicker, and you just.
That's what they're gonna do.
3 points.
I don't
You just
hate
don't
this.
have it.
The kicker really earned its, I don't want to say position this year, but so many missed kicks.
So many missed
kicks, and games were decided by kicks. I mean, I do wish his accuracy was a little better in the 50s, because I feel like there's a lot of, 45, 50, 52-yard field goals on a pretty consistent basis. But like you said, he's getting older, he is bulking up, and still 70% is not horrible. That's still you still have a better chance of him kicking a field goal further than 40 yards than you do of Mike Evans actually catching the long ball, like Courtney said. Your odds are better.
It's 50-50 with Mike Evans, and it's better than 50-50 with Aguero.
So
that's math.
My money is,
It's math.
But no, I mean, listen, I think they're thinking they're going to get down the field so far, and they want a sure thing. And I'm not going to justify the pick, but that is the rationale behind it. They also took a fullback from Northwestern in the 6th, but that's not really fantasy relevant.
Right, New Orleans.
We all know how bad the Saints defense was last year. Oof. In fact, the Saints defense allowed more points per game than any other NFL team. They were also just one of 3 teams in 2015 to give up an average of 400 yards per game. So with how bad the defense was, it was certainly no surprise that the Saints selected a defensive player in the 1st and 2nd round, showing that they are clearly aware that they need some improvement. The huge problem is that the Saints have just over $3 million of cap space available to address needs, so it was pretty much a guarantee that they were going to have to be playing in the trade discussion game, which is what they did. And they ended up having 2 picks from the New England Patriots and the Washington Redskins in order to move up in this year's draft to try to make as much impact as they possibly could. And they picked Sheldon Rankins, a defensive tackle from Louisville. I like this. He's an immediate starter. He'll be able to provide interior pass rushing. He can collapse the pocket. He's going to cause some ruckus in the backfield. I like him a lot. I think it's a good choice. This team.
Sorry, Sheldon, but I don't know about you guys. I can't help but think of when Harry met Sally. Yeah.
Sheldon.
Give it to me, Sheldon. The whole scene where Sheldon, when they're like on their first road trip and they go to the restaurant, she orders the whole pie a la mode with ice cream on the side, and she has the day of the week underpants, and Sheldon's like, for Sunday. Like they don't make Sunday. And that's why we broke up.
Guess again.
Give it to me, Sheldon.
So classic. Classic. Sorry.
So that's what I'll be saying now. So give it to me, Sheldon's going to cause a lot of ruckus in the backfield. Now it just sounds dirty. But I like him. This team focused primarily on defense. They did, however, take Michael Thomas with their 2nd pick, who's a super aggressive wide receiver. They picked up a running back in the 7th named Daniel Lasco, who will only serve as depth. But primarily a defensive-focused draft for them.
The Miami Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins expected for OT Laramie Tunsil to drop to them at the 13th pick. But he did. Lucky dog. I wonder if the Miami Dolphins hacked in to Tunsil's Twitter account.
Right?
To post a picture.
Genius.
Maybe it was Tannehill. He's like, I need help.
you can't see his face, right? So maybe it's like.
Well, they do.
Oh,
He
you
takes
can.
his mask
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
Oh,
he
it's
takes
his
his
mask
mask
off.
off.
That's right.
Oh, it's clearly him.
That's
Clearly
right.
him.
So,
And then there's the whole money exchange situation.
Whatever.
but they knew this beforehand.
That's right.
They
That's
knew
right.
he smoked weed, and they knew that he was suspended for improper benefits from the school. What? They just see it now, and now it's a problem? No,
They
you
all
knew
get
this.
improper benefits from the schools. Everybody does it. He got caught, and there's a handful of people who get caught. Everybody does it. I'm not say everybody, but majority of schools and students are guilty of this. Majority of college students are also guilty of smoking marijuana. I'm not saying that
Majority.
I'm not saying.
But it's not uncommon
That,
for
you
either
know,
of these things
right.
to have happened. And like you said, they
Right.
knew. They knew. So why is
The mask was pretty intense. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "Whoa,
He was serious about getting
good
high.
for you!
I mean,
you are
you know
a
what?
rock star."
It happens, and
It happened.
it's fine. Miami got him for super cheap compared to what he should have been paid. And I can't. But the thing is like Miami has to be like the worst place to go if you're a problem child. Miami Beach.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
Danger zone. In 2013, their first draft pick overall, Deion Jordan had 3 NFL suspensions. He's still suspended. We don't even know when he's coming back. You know, I mean, there's the incognito situation that went down in the locker room. We can't forget Brent Grimes' wife's Twitter account.
It's amazing.
You know, like there's so much drama in Miami. I hate that this is where he went, for the fact of like trying to get on the straight and narrow. But whatever. Good luck. Hopefully he continues to play. He is a beast. He is a beast. So it's in the Miami's draft, yet another running back with injury problems. It's like their MO. We don't want the healthy ones. Give us the ones with the banged knees. And that's what they took. So he'll be behind Jay Ajayi, who doesn't have a kneecap. So it'll be all good times for Mr. Kanye Drake. So, and in both the 5th and the 6th round, the Miami drafted 2 wide receivers, which I don't think is necessary. They already have 3 good wide receivers. And that are actually on the field at all times. They have other wide receivers in the depth chart as well, but whatever. And in the 7th round, Miami took a quarterback, so who knows? Maybe this is the next Tom Brady. Dun, 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 dun.
That's AJ McCarron.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I forgot. AJ. I'm sorry, AJ.
Clearly.
It's already been claimed, Courtney.
Already been claimed.
Mhm.
Oakland Raiders.
The Raiders had a nice draft overall, but let's talk a little bit about Carl Joseph, their first pick, safety from West Virginia. This was an interesting choice, not in a bad way, but I'm definitely going to need to see him play in preseason to feel good about it. It's interesting the fact that he's kind of short. He's 5'10", 205 pounds. Receivers are so huge these days that I'm intrigued that is who they picked as their first guy since he doesn't fit an ideal build. But I think he might pan out for them because this guy, you know, what he lacks in weight, he makes up for in absolutely laying people out, which I'm into. I'm into that. So you go up in the middle, you're going to get hit by Joseph, and you're going to think twice about it when you go up again. So this guy can drop down, and he can cover as well as move out in the middle of the field. So, you know, I liked him. I think overall he's going to do well. You know, almost all defense and offensive linemen were drafted by this team. They did, however, take Connor Cook in the 4th round, the Michigan State quarterback, who has a little bit of an interesting backstory, I guess maybe we'll say. You know, he was not the captain of his team despite being the quarterback, which is highly unusual. His former teammates are to some extent trash-talking him, and no one seems to like him, which is a bit concerning. He will back up Derek Carr, and I don't think that you need to be concerned about him, you know, at all, despite the fact that they did trade up to get him, which is also really interesting. They traded up to get a potential problem child in your most important position, but interesting. DeAndre Washington was added for running back depth from Texas Tech in the 5th round. He's not an every down back, so it looks like Latavius Murray is still safe. You're still good to go with him. Let's just hope that this guy doesn't steal a bunch of 3rd down goal line carries.
Ugh. Problem children. The Cleveland Browns.
They drafted 14 people. They tied an NFL record. It is nuts.
And
They
their
also
team
acquired a
still is bad.
cornerback.
Still bad. Yeah.
Duh.
And they're still about 60 players short of an NFL team.
Yeah, yeah.
They made 5 trades and turned their 10 picks into 14 picks, a first and a second round for next year, and a second rounder in 2018, plus getting a veteran cornerback. They're crazy. They have to rebuild.
They're giving up on this year. I can respect it.
I'm a little weirded out by the 5 wide receivers that they took. That's actually one less wide receiver than the entire NFC. Think
Amazing.
about that. Looks like quarterback competition between RG3 and Cody Kessler, which is the quarterback from USC. I don't know if you want a USC quarterback playing in frigid Cleveland, but that's what Hugh Jackson loves. He supposedly loves his accuracy, and to be fair, Pro Football Focus did grade him out as the most accurate quarterback coming out of college this year, so it's not completely off his rocker, but it definitely raised some eyebrows. Their first pick was Mr. Touchdown, Corey Coleman. He's adorable, really nice guy, actually, from Baylor. 20 touchdowns last year. I had to look at it again because I thought, is that career touchdowns? No, just last season.
Just last season. Thought a boy.
4.37 for his 40. Great after the catch. He's small, though. 5'11", 194. Everyone compares him to Steve Smith Sr., though. So you got to like that.
Hey.
I'll take
Does
that
he have that
comparison.
fight, though? He's got to have that fight.
He has the fight.
Good.
That's
Good.
why
We
they're
need the
doing
fight.
it. Yes,
We need
the
the
fight is there.
Mhm.
We
It's real.
need you because Steve Smith is leaving us soon. Listen, this is the first kind of Moneyball thing that they're trying in Cleveland, and I think it kind of worked. I think it improved their team. Listen, if they drafted 14 people and 5 work out, it's a pretty decent draft to get 5 great new players.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to be fair, listen, they have a lot of pass catchers to compete right now, including Rashard Hollywood Higgins from Colorado State. He was the last one to get drafted, but he actually might make the most sense. He's very dependable, so he's going to kind of be someone that has great hands, that Hugh Jackson loves that kind of guy, but it's still the Browns.
Still the Browns.
Yeah.
Still the Browns. Let's move on to the Lions.
The Lions chose Taylor Decker, offensive tackle from Ohio State, along with the entire Ohio State team that was drafted this year. My gosh, how many Ohio State players were
It's
drafted?
going to be
It's
amazing.
a
And they're
record.
still going to be
Crazy.
amazing.
Crazy. And, I will be curious to see if they line him up at left tackle or shift him to the right. He's good enough to play left, but he will not be the best left tackle in the league by any means. But he's a good run blocker, so that might actually increase the stock slightly for your running backs in Detroit, but barely, and not enough for you to waste any of your top picks on a running back from Detroit. Please do not do that. Do not do it. Basically, the rest were all defensive players, and they took quarterback Jake Rudock in the 6th round from Michigan. He's just going to back up Stafford, obviously. And they took a running back in the 7th round as their last pick, Dwayne Washington. He can show flashes of greatness, but has consistency issues, injuries, and overall lack of production. So he's going to fit in fantastic with the rest of the running back crew of Detroit. Woo! Welcome to the team, buddy. None of us produce.
Officially
You'll
fantasy.
fit right in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Atlanta Falcons. The first 2 rounds for Atlanta were not sexy, but will help the team immediately. Strong safety Neal out of Florida and linebacker Jones out of LSU that can be on the field today. So that's fabulous. Immediate impact. It's exactly what we need for Atlanta. I don't know what Atlanta was thinking in the 3rd round when they drafted a tight end, Austin Hooper. I mean, hello, Jacob Tammy, people.
Oh, yeah.
You can't replace him. You can't replace him.
I mean, there was this Tony Gonzalez guy, but Jacob Tammy.
Jacob Tammy.
Jacob Tammy's the real deal.
Don't touch the Tam.
Babysitter extraordinaire, right, Courtney?
That's right. That's right.
Courtney's best line from last season was, I would let Jacob Tammy watch my kids, but he's not going to be on my fantasy football team.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Your best lines are always with your kids involved.
It's true. I've sold
Should
them
sell
to
those
Seattle's
kids out.
defense, but listen, you guys, seriously, Hooper's like a legit fantasy option. It's just the way it is. Like, you really have to think about it, and I'm not one to drafting rookies in general, unless it's like Elliott situation,
Right.
where it's immediate. Yeah, but
Early.
this is a tight end that could be a sneaky pick. I'm totally not upset with it. But overall, the Falcons draft was really good for the Falcons. I mean, I think it's really going to help the team, but for fantasy purposes, it's not as relevant. Indianapolis Colts.
The Colts were the team that needed some serious help on the offensive line. The rush attack was pitiful, and their breadwinner for the team, Andrew Luck, needs some serious protection after a season riddled with injuries. The Colts are hoping they took a major step towards alleviating some of those holes in their first-round pick of Ryan Kelly, center from Alabama. He should be an immediate starter and should be able to help.
Jeff Saturday.
Yeah.
They got their new Peyton. Now they have the new Jeff Saturday. I'm rocking it.
I like it. I'm into this pick. He's going to be able to help us, out some of those woes, but he can't solve all the offensive line problems. But the good news is they picked up 2 tackles in the 3rd and 5th round, as well as another center in the 7th round. So clearly they are very serious about sharing up this offensive line to protect Andrew Luck.
About time.
Possibly, hopefully mean they could potentially have a running game. But I really, they didn't draft anybody else of any importance as fantasy-wise, but it is good that they're shoring up that offensive line.
Good. Bills. Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. There isn't much, if anything at all, really, that I do not like about Shaq Lawson.
Woo!
I love Shaq. When I was watching, I was like, no one else should be allowed to be named Shaq. There's Shaq, and that's it. It's like Shaq. Right. You can't name your kid Cher. What's wrong with you?
No.
But he changed your mind, right? Because let me tell you, at the draft on the red carpet, the audience, everyone was chanting, "We want Shaq. We want Shaq." I was actually surprised he lasted this long because people were going crazy over him on the red carpet.
He's adorable. And he even has a ring endorsement from the OG Shaq himself, which is not fantasy football relevant in any way, shape, or form, but something I would imagine we all would love to have is an endorsement from Shaquille O'Neal. He's a heck of an edge rusher with 12.5 sacks last year, and he's a great addition to this team. He's incredibly smart and adaptable, which is some of the best traits that he has. He's got great speed, strength to speed, in terms of being able to get there and muscle your guy and then be able to turn off the block there. Conversion, edge containment, reaction time. He's fantastic. I'm a huge fan of him. I think the Bills were shocked to see him still on the board, like Brandon said, and they should be pretty happy with themselves for this pickup. In the 4th round, they drafted quarterback Cardell Jones from Ohio State. He is the opposite of Tyrod Taylor in terms of his size and durability, so this is kind of an interesting pickup. And he actually thought it was a prank when the Bills called him, because I guess he'd been getting phone calls all day long. People just were hanging up on him. So when he got the call, he wasn't sure if it was actually real, and he had to wait. He went and looked at the TV to see if his name went across the board, and when it did, that's when he started to cry and celebrate with his family. It was adorable. But he did lose his job halfway through the 2015 season because of inconsistency. So this is a really interesting pickup. I don't know how I feel about that one.
But it's Ohio State.
It is Ohio State.
Even though he lost his job. Right, exactly. To be a backup at Ohio State, I mean, you're definitely...
I guess Tom Brady was a backup at some point in time.
And he won the championship for them in 2014. It's not like...
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was
it's weird to lose. I don't know. It's weird.
It is.
Jonathan Williams is a running back in the 5th round from Arkansas. He had some injury issues and sat out 2015 with a foot injury, but he might not be in the steal of the draft if he can stay healthy because his talent is just off the charts. And then Colby Listenby is a former track star and a wide receiver from TCU, and he might have some first season impact, so keep your eye on him as well. This team the Bills are going to be interesting.
Jets.
So one thing is for sure, Coach Todd Bowles is a fan of Darren Lee, and he made it quite clear that he thinks that he could bring value to the team immediately. How are you feeling about your brother, Brandon? Or cousin? What were you guys? Did you establish?
Related.
Just related.
Just decided we're related. That was as far as we could go, even with laughing. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice guy, though. Nice guy.
He's likely going to find himself in the weak inside linebacker position. But what's most impressive about the attribute is that his versatility. This will serve the team as well as the shuffle players around to be able to have the most productive unit. So I like this pickup. He's a good cover guy and a good pressure guy. And he's going to make this team faster, which I think is also really important. So I think just for the overall overhaul of this team, he was a good pickup. Christian Hackenberg, quarterback from Penn State, was another guy they picked up. He's a very inconsistent player. And was to some extent one of the biggest shocks of the draft as they took him in the 2nd round. In the 7th, they took Sharon Peake?
I think it's just Peake.
peak. Wide receiver from Clemson, and he will be behind Decker and Marshall, so there really isn't any reason to pay attention to him. And the Jets still apparently don't believe in tight ends, so don't worry, they didn't draft one, and neither do you from a Jets team.
Woo! Houston Texans.
The first round, they picked up wide receiver Will Fuller from Notre Dame. He's going to be on the opposite side of the great DeAndre Hopkins. And DeAndre Hopkins says, I'm looking forward to not being double teamed. And I'm like, yeah, right.
Sure.
Please. No, you're still going to get double teamed. You're just not going to get
play for the
quadruple
Texans. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Now, Will Fuller's been compared to Ted Ginn. Sadly, that includes the drops. But, and good news is that he's a speedster. He's kind of this, guy. He'll be fine. It should be interesting. They also got wide receiver Braxton Miller from Ohio State. Again, Ohio State in the house in the third round. He's a character guy who also won back-to-back Player of the Year for the Big Ten. That's a lot of wide receivers for a Brock Osweiler-led offense. Little distressing. I'm not quite sure there are going to be enough passes to go around for everyone, but hey, it's got to be better than the Kubiak non-offense, so we'll see. Another interesting prospect is running back Tyler Ervin from San Jose State. I still think Lamar Miller is safe. Ervin's a bit of a gadget player, probably a player on special teams, maybe a handcuff, but that's about it.
Nice. Washington Redskins.
It's not shocking that the Redskins made a pick that made us go, okay. They chose wide receiver Josh Doxson from TCU, who's not a bad player by any means. In fact, I really like him. He's really good. But the team certainly had other needs that probably should take precedence over adding a wide receiver to the core. But with that said, I can see why they added him as Deshaun Jackson. He was injured, half the season. He was out basically 7 games. Pierre Garçon certainly hasn't had the production that he had in the past, and they're both in contract years. So I do think adding another player in the fold, especially someone as talented as Doxson, is smart. So I think he will work well with Kirk Cousins. He's got a nice mix of midfield play and downfield threat. And I think overall it's a good pickup, and he may end up making Kirk Cousins look even better because he's really good in the air. So once the ball's been thrown, he makes the play to get the catch. So I do it's an interesting pickup just because they have so many other needs, but I do really like him. So I think we're going to see something good out of him, and I think he's definitely worth drafting. 6th-round pickup quarterback Nate Sudfeld from Indiana. He will just back up Cousins and compete with Colt McCoy essentially for who's going to be the actual backup. In the 7th round, they picked up running back Keith Marshall from Georgia. He had the fastest 40 at this year's combine with 4.31, but still not the fastest historically, but really good for this combine. And he's got an injury. Yeah, it's good. But he's got an injury, but I will take any running back that was not on last year's team and put him in the starting lineup. Anyone. Doesn't matter.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings. Well, the Vikings definitely started their draft off right. We all loved Bridgewater before the season started last year, but he had no one to throw the ball to, and that became a harsh reality immediately. Stephon Diggs had moments, but, really, it was really sad. Rough stuff. So now we have Laquan Treadwell. Woo!
Great name.
This is going to be great. This is going to be
awesome. How
awesome
cute was his
for
kid,
him. Oh my gosh, adorable. You could tell he was ticked that he dropped that low in the draft, but whatever. Dude, you're going to play. You're playing on a team that is good. You have a good defense. You have a good running back. You have a solid team. So you should be happy. They're comparing him to Michael Irving, so that can't be bad either.
Nope.
Yeah, so I'm not upset with this. He's not a bad rookie to pick up, guys. At the end, I think he could be a sleeper. Again, I say that even though I've been screwed by Minnesota wide receivers, time and time again, they screw me over.
They really
do that. Insert Cordell Patterson.
Oh.
How dare you bring him up in this podcast? Seriously.
Courtney, he falls in the vicious thank category. We don't have to talk about him anymore.
We don't have to talk about it anymore. We just slip him in there. Rest in peace, my friends.
It's over.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to have to help me out here, guys. Moritz Böhringer was the first player to be drafted that was not born in the States. Hence why one of the reasons why I just butchered his. It's not really.
It was awesome.
I butchered his all the time.
Moritz Böhringer.
Böhringer. And he never played in college. He also was the first player to sign his contract from the 2016 draft. They say it's because he needed to get his visa working, so he could get here. to work, and I just love that.
Get it done.
Love it. Get it done, my friend. He looks. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Again, not fantasy relevant, but just good stuff. They focus on the defense, and that just makes me happy because I already loved the Minnesota Vikings defense. So now that they just even added more players, I'm into it. So love the Vikings this year. I'm super excited.
Playoff bound.
Playoff bound. Number one in their division, I have to say, this year. I think they're going to be number one.
Oh.
Yep, I'm picking them. Cincinnati Bengals.
So the Bengals' first-round pick was cornerback Williams Jackson III. This pickup speaks directly to the different drafting strategies that we all have to consider when we're drafting even our fantasy team. So do you draft for your team's needs, or do you grab the best possible player on the board no matter the position? So the Bengals seem to choose the latter in this case and drafted a cornerback when you could argue was a wasted first-round pick on a guy who will flesh out to be in the 5th roster spot behind Adam Pac-Man Jones, Drake Kirkpatrick, Denard, Josh Shaw, in the secondary. So is that worth a first-round pick? I don't know. Only time will tell. But again, different strategies, and everyone has their own way of deciding how they do want to draft. They did take 2 wide receivers as well. The second round was Tyler Boyd from Pittsburgh, who's a really great route runner, and he's been compared to Keenan Allen. And then Cody Core in the 6th from Mississippi, who is opposite Courtney's boy, Laquan Treadwell, and is, not as exciting. A little bit ho-hum there in comparison to the other wide receivers in the draft.
Nice. Pittsburgh Steelers, for fantasy purposes, we can just skip them, guys. Don't worry, your offensive players were not touched. There's no competition. We're just going to move on. They focused on the defense, and God knows that they needed to. Really bad. The 26th pick, the Denver Broncos switched up Seattle's spot to take their future franchise quarterback, Paxton Lynch, out of Memphis.
I keep calling him Kevin, by the way, because he reminds me of Kevin from Backstreet Boys.
Oh, yeah.
No, he doesn't. Kevin.
Yes, he does. He looks so
Kevin
much
is so
like
much better
Kevin.
looking, and he's darker.
He reminds me of someone that should be in like a 90s metal band.
Well, I just went to a wedding this weekend, and they hired a 90s band, and they basically only played NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, and Christina Aguilera. And
That's like more early 2000s.
Didn't Paxton Lynch come into town this weekend, Bernie? Did he happen to be playing there?
he was not. He was not. But I should have.
Looks just like Kevin.
Ashley. No, he doesn't.
I even thought I was like, I should
just
get
so
some
everybody
Backstreet Boy
knows,
music we can
Backstreet
play.
Boys is my era. It was way after these kids were young, and
Is it way
Kevin
after?
was my boyfriend. He was
your
my
boyfriend.
guy.
I was just into alternative music, that's all.
Right. But Lynch is 6'6", 244 pounds, is a similar build to a former younger quarterback that played for the Denver Broncos. And most say that he is not ready to play yet, but we all know he's going to play eventually this year. So, if not.
Unless Marky Mark is awesome.
Unless Marky Mark is awesome. I love Marky Mark, don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling it's going to be a trade-out right around Game 7, Game 8.
I'm written Mark Sanchez.
Slip that guy
We
right.
went all 90s on that write-up.
I mean, listen, the Broncos don't ask much of quarterbacks, so I don't know how Sanchez could lose his job. You have to get 10 points and try for 2 third-down conversions. That's all we ask of you. So if you can just do that offense, that would be great. The next couple picks were for the defense, but in round 4, the Broncos drafted running back Devontae Booker from Utah, and I love him. Like, I really, really like him, and I think that he's going to sneak in there and get a lot of time on the field. I think that the Broncos realized how big of a
running back problem they had
last year, and totally
yet they signed both back.
inconsistent. They signed both of them, but it's completely inconsistent. So I like that they see that. Forrest Booker is coming off a knee injury, so you have to keep an eye on that this offseason. But they also added a fullback out of Nebraska in the 6th round, so we'll see. They know what their problems are. And people are scratching their heads when Denver drafted a punter in the last round when they have Colquitt and Will Johnson. But money talks in Denver, guys. We all know Elway does not like to pay his players. And Colquitt is coming up to the end of his contract, and I have a feeling Bye, Colquitt.
Oh, make me sad.
I know it's sad, but I have a feeling we're gonna have a different punter for 2017. Not this year, but next year.
Do you remember when Nebraska was Ohio State?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really long time ago.
Yes.
It was like late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Was it Cook? Is
Like
that the
2
quarterback?
decades ago.
I remember. So sad. Green Bay Packers.
Am I the only one who feels like the Packers fell into like an abyss and they just don't exist anymore? I feel like I haven't heard anything about the Packers. It's crazy.
Nelson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they picked up wide receiver Trevor Davis from Cal in the 5th round. Great combine, lots of physical talent. He only started 1 year, not a lot of tape, but he's kind of a good project. And then there's a lovely article today that suggested that perhaps Devontae Adams isn't even going to make the team. How crazy is that?
Ooh.
Anyway, that's about it.
There you go. Fabulous. Then we have the Cardinals, and the Cardinals did exactly what they needed to do. They drafted people to fill into those slots, really to back up other players that they already have consistent. So really fantasy-wise, it's not, big deal. Their first pick was the dude who got high and fell out of the window at the hotel. And I just want to do a shout-out that Arizona is actually the perfect place for you to go to when you're a trouble child.
Kim Dichi, I love you.
More spas, Bruce Arians, the golf hats. I mean, come on. There's nothing more that says recovery than the Arizona Cardinals.
There's also a lot of ranch homes there. So that should help.
That should help. He won't get injured the next time he gets stoned and falls out of a window.
That's right. So all's good.
All's good.
All is
Perfect spot. Perfect spot for you, Robert.
I don't know why that hit me wrong.
Love it. Love it. Carolina Panthers.
I do want to say, though, real quick, that the Green Bay Packers had a good draft. It's just nothing was fantasy relevant. I realized I was kind of curt with them. But anyway, Carolina Panthers, I'm going to be a little curt as well. The only potential fantasy player was tight end Bo Sandland from Montana State in the 7th round. Yes, I just said that. And he's playing behind Greg Olsen, so not really fantasy relevant either. So again, Carolina Panthers, congratulations. You're going to be a good team again. Just has nothing to do with my fantasy team as far as your rookies are concerned.
There you go. Seattle Seahawks.
So the Seahawks have identified that they got a running back problem because they picked up 3 running backs. 3rd round pick was CJ from Notre Dame. He's a former wide receiver, so he will serve as a out the backfield kind of running back. 5th round pick Alex Collins from Arkansas. He might actually end up playing with some substantial playing time though, as he's a big down the field kind of back. And then 7th rounder Zach Brooks from Clemson. So
a lot of ranch homes. A lot of ranch homes.
A lot of ranch.
Not gonna let that one go. Sorry.
So as I was saying, there's no more Marshawn Lynch. They don't know when Thomas Rollins is going to return for timelines. So obviously they are addressing their needs and getting running backs. They also picked up a tight end from Ohio State. His own coach said that his first 2 years weren't very good, but that his second 2 were phenomenal, and that he's a really great route runner. So they're clearly also addressing a potential Jimmy Graham issue. And then 7th round, they have wide receiver Kenny Lawler from California. He was Jared Goff's red zone target, so he clearly got a lot of reps in college. And, I think overall it was a pretty good draft for the Seahawks.
Good. The Chiefs.
Well, I don't think anyone will be fantasy relevant this year, but there were some interesting picks for those of you that played Dynasty. Quarterback Kevin Hogan from Stanford. He's a bit of a game manager, but who does that sound like?
Yep.
Oh, the guy he's backing up. So anyway, they're sticking with the thing. They took wide receiver Demarcus Robinson from Florida in the 4th round. He's speedy, kind of down the field guy. Then they took wide receiver Tyreek Hill from West Alabama, a track star. Obviously, they're trying to add some speed here. They're going to mostly be on the special teams. But listen, their starting wide receivers right now are Jeremy Maclin, Albert Wilson, and Chris Conley. There's a possibility these guys can get some playing time in. Now, for what it's worth, I do have to say that Conley's getting a lot of off-season buzz. If you're going to pick up anyone other than Maclin, which obviously you'll have to pay up for, Chris Conley's the guy. But still, I think these 2 guys are very interesting in dynasty leagues.
I agree.
Patriots. What voodoo magic did they have going on? Again, no pick in the 1st round.
No pick in the 1st round, and I have to say, we should start this off by saying that Brady is, we're going to need to prepare for him to be suspended for the first 4 games this season because it's Groundhog Day. We're never going to get out of this.
It
Never
was
gonna
interesting
get
to read
out.
some of the transcripts from that, with basically the judges being like, there is a lot of evidence that you not only knew but were part of this.
And
That's
destroyed
not what we're
evidence
here
and
for
whatnot,
today. We're here just to determine, is whether, Goodell had the rights to do it. So it was really
Well,
interesting.
exactly. That's just it. It wasn't even about that. It's like, you need to deal with this in the bargaining
Yeah.
agreement. But
Yep. You
anyway.
signed your guys' life away with that agreement. Deal
On
with it.
the Deflate Gate, they don't have a first-round pick kind of note here. They did still have 9 picks because that's the Patriots way. They just trade down and they collect picks, and that's how they build their team. And that's maybe why Cleveland tried it this year. Congratulations, Cleveland, but you're not the Patriots.
Right.
So they covered their bases for the departure of Tom Brady, and they got quarterback Jacoby Brissett from North Carolina State in the 3rd round. He's 6'4", 329 pounds. Not really pro-ready, but it happened. So, maybe he'll compete with Jimmy Garoppolo to start. I doubt it. I think he's probably going to be the backup to Jimmy. They also drafted wide receiver Malcolm Mitchell from Georgia in the 4th round. Already better than Brandon LaFell, Mr. 50% pass catching ability, even from Tom Brady. I don't even know what to say about that. Supposedly, Mitchell is a good route runner, good after the catch, but he has a history of injuries, including an ACL. Supposedly, until his ACL injury, he was regarded as a top 10 prospect. He could be the steal of the draft, or he could have a tough time staying on the field. Sounds like a lot of Patriots to me. And in the 7th, they took a flyer on wide receiver Devin Lucien, from Arizona State. Pro Football Focus compared him to Stephon Diggs. Not really great at everything, but good at everything. And those guys do have a place in the league, and especially with the Patriots.
I like that. Not great at anything, but good at everything.
I feel that way about myself some days.
I was about to say, that's exactly how I would describe myself.
But I wouldn't even say everything. It's kind of like not great at anything, pretty good at a nice amount of things.
Yeah.
Where do I fit in the NFL?
I was just thinking, what was he good at? He was good for a few weeks, and then it was like, where'd Stephon Diggs go?
But that was also the Minnesota play calling. It was bad.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is our coverage over the 32 teams in the NFL. Every year, we pick our teams to cover during the season. So if you've listened to our show before, I'm going to leave the NFC West last because I'm pretty sure none of us want the San Francisco 49ers and Chip Kelly. So we'll do that one last, so it's depression mode at the end.
Who has a notebook to take notes? Because I don't.
Somebody's got to do it because I'm a picking. I'm a picking.
right.
Do you have a
I
notebook?
can do it.
All right.
I can do
All right,
it.
you guys. This is very exciting. We love this part. This is our moment here. We're gonna briefly discuss likes or dislike of the team we get. All right.
And then also, by the way, we each draw one from each conference, and then the one that wasn't picked goes into a wild card.
Right.
Just FYI for listeners.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Here we go. Who
All
are
right,
we
Ashley,
covering
you're
next
getting
year?
married in a week and a half. You get to go first.
I get to go
Life
first.
is about to be over. Ready?
Super ready. Hit me with it.
Ashley gets the San Diego Chargers.
Hey.
All right.
Brandon? Oakland Raiders.
Hey, Derek Carr,
Not a
Connor
bad
Cook.
There's not a bad team in this division. That's why you started with this one. They're
Not
all
bad,
good
yeah.
to cover. And I have the Denver Broncos.
The Broncos.
That means the
Time.
Kansas City Chiefs go into the mixed bag. Thank you, AFC West. That was a good time. We have the AFC East. Ashley? The Jets of the Jets.
Yeah.
Oh, she gets the Jets again? No.
Yeah.
We're not
Brandon has
there.
lost her home team.
All right.
Sorry, Brandon. It is what it is.
Okay. Brandon gets the Patriots.
Yeah. Get ready for some Garoppolo.
And I, Cordiva, I get the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I'm sad I don't have them anymore.
Yes, that means the Miami Dolphins go into the grab bag. I don't know.
That.
All right, guys, AFC North. Here we go. Here
So
we
far,
go.
the wild card's a little tragic.
It is. Misfit children. Ashley, you have the Cincinnati Bengals again.
No.
Wow.
I can't take it.
I know.
You love your
It's
red
bad.
rifle.
It's bad.
I love my Red Vikings,
Brandon.
but I really hate the running backs.
Brandon gets the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
Come on, guys. It's not fair to get Browns twice.
It's not. It's not
Not
fair.
even
You
Hugh
must have done
Jackson
something
did
really
that.
bad.
Life's not fair, Brandon. It's
And
not
I
fair.
got the
Guys.
Baltimore Ravens. Man.
All right.
All right. Steelers. That just upped the grab bag. Steelers
I'll
are
take
in
the Steelers.
grab
Yeah.
bag. Absolutely.
All right.
Got
Yeah,
the
That's a good
AFC,
one.
AFC South. Here we go.
I actually liked the Ravens.
I like the Ravens too. Ashley, Tennessee Titans. I wanted the
Okay.
Tennessee
All right, all
Titans. Ashley, you got the Tennessee Titans.
All right.
Brandon, Indianapolis Colts.
Okay. You don't like that one, Brandon?
Well, it depends. They're
She
so
wanted-
unlucky.
She wanted the Jags. All right,
I want
and
the
I
Jags.
get.
I want the Jags.
Well, that's too bad because I get the Jacksonville
No!
Jags.
Come on now. Courtney's
All right,
winning everything.
Houston Texans in the grab bag. Because I
Yeah,
chose the
she's
hat.
Drawing
I
the
chose the hat.
names.
Yeah, yeah.
Quote,
Broncos.
now, Denver Broncos.
Oh, you have the old school Denver
I have
Broncos
the
hat.
Yep, we're picking from the old school Denver Broncos hat today. All right, guys, we're moving to the NFC. NFC North. Here we go, guys. This is a good one. No one can lose in this one. No one's going to lose except the Detroit Lions, which I'm sure will be Ashley's pick.
Probably.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
It's Ashley's pick.
Ashley's pick. Oh, Minnesota Vikings. AP.
Oh.
You love your AP, Ashley.
I don't
Love
actually.
AP. You just love AP. Brandon, Detroit Lions.
Lions. Enjoy the
Good,
fun,
I lose the
Brandon.
draft again.
Enjoy the fun on that one.
And I get the Green Bay Packers.
Of course you do, 'cause Courtney gets all the good teams.
Chicago
Wow.
Bears are in the grab
Wow.
bag. You guys, you see me doing this. I'm doing it live. You can see. All right, guys, we're moving to the NFC South. We got the Super Bowl. Guys in here.
No one listening to the podcast proper is believing that you're drawing this stuff.
Give me
You're just
Cam.
telling me what you want.
You got to check out YouTube video, guys, so you can see. Ashley, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans, you all
one-
day. You all day.
You know what? This is just not even fair.
Guys,
I am for sure going to get the 49ers. I feel it.
Brandon, New Orleans Saints.
All right.
What?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a defense, so everything's fine.
Yeah, we have Breeze though.
And I get the Carolina Panthers.
Oh, I'm gonna miss
Mercy
them.
too.
Atlanta Falcons goes into the grab bag.
This grab bag is really depressing.
All right, guys. NFC East. Ashley, who are you gonna get? The Giants. That's not bad. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Giants are good.
I
To
guess.
cover. They're
Hold
fun
on.
to cover.
Brandon.
Brandon, no, I want the Cowboys. Take those off. You can't get. I don't want you to get one good team. Brandon gets the Washington Redskins.
No, no.
Don't worry, I'm going to read these off when we're done so we can really feel the pain. Here comes Courtney. Who's she going to get? Who do you want, Courtney?
I got the Eagles. That's my first bad team.
Fine. Chip's
That
not
means-
there anymore.
That's true. The Cowboys.
They're all bad in that league.
grab bag. All right, guys. NFC West. Dun da da da. If you haven't listened to our show before, we all hate the San Francisco 49ers fantasy-wise. And we all hate except Brandon, Chip Kelly. So Brandon has to get San
Genius.
Francisco. Genius.
Don't do it to me. Don't
Which
do
move
it.
is the best, Brandon? All right, Ashley. San Francisco.
No!
It's your lucky day, Ashley. You knew it from
Yes.
hours ago, right?
Yes.
Oh.
Brandon, Arizona Cardinals. Good
Oh,
one. That's
yeah.
a good one. That's a good one.
It's a good one.
Oh my gosh.
Give me the
God.
Rams. Give me the Rams. Los Angeles Rams.
Wow.
All right. I mean,
Yeah.
Seattle goes into the grab bag. You guys, we are up to the grab bag. Grab
Oh, you have
bag
to also
is-
put in NFL.
I'm gonna put in AFC North, which means the NFL news. Just got to be me.
Right, every
It's gotta
year.
be me
Every year, Courtney gets it.
Every year. All right, guys. Ashley, who do you want out of the grab bag? What do we got? Pittsburgh.
I want
We
Pittsburgh.
got San Diego.
I want Pittsburgh, which
We want
means
Pittsburgh.
I'll
Or we
probably
got
get
Kansas
Miami.
City. Chiefs.
Chiefs, all right.
Chiefs. That's fine. It's fine.
I'll take them. I'll take it.
Brandon, who are you hoping for? You want the Cowboys, don't you?
Or the
Those
AFC
Cowboy
North.
glasses back on. What? No.
Or the
We're
AFC
doing
North.
the grab bag. AFC North is our NFL team.
I know, that's what I mean.
Oh, that's what you want. Okay. All right, here we go. Atlanta Falcons. That's a good one. That's good. That's easy to cover. You got two people to talk about.
But Kyle Shanahan, you're going to have to hear more Kyle Shanahan hate from me. We got a lot of hate in my list here.
Oh, I got the Chicago Bears.
Chicago.
You're welcome. I took that one.
You got John.
All right, here we go. Ashley. Houston Texans. Osweiler.
That's a good one. That's a good
What are you
one.
talking about? That's a good one.
Lamar Miller, DeAndre Hopkins.
I hate Lamar Miller.
Brandon gets the Steelers.
Of course.
It's really turning around for you, Brandon. It's really turning around.
I always do well in the wild card round. It's my strength.
Oh, I get the Dolphins again.
Dolphins.
Oh, the Dolphins!
I've had them like every
Excellent.
year.
Excellent.
Things are working out as they should. You get Laramie Tunsil.
Ashley. Seahawks. Seattle
course.
Seahawks, Ashley.
Of course.
Your favorite, Russell Wilson.
Oh,
All right, you guys,
God.
it's down to 2 picks.
It's this or the AFC North. Either way, I win.
Cowboys or NFL. It's the Cowboys!
Cowboys.
You got it?
Every
No,
year.
No, yes,
It is
Courtney.
rigged. Every year, Courtney gets NFL news.
Yes. It's because I'm a better person than both of you, so karma's on my side.
Gosh,
Wow.
terrible.
All right, guys.
Use my sunglasses.
So Brandon's clearly the favorite. My husband really wanted me to get Dallas, by the way, so he's bummed. But
Did you want me to read these teams to you?
no, I don't. I want to know your favorite team you got, your least favorite team you got.
Oh, I don't know because I don't see it right now on my face.
I can tell you. The Browns or the Atlanta Falcons for
Yeah,
you.
you have the Raiders, the Patriots, the Browns, the Colts, the Lions, the Saints, the Redskins, the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Steelers, and the Cowboys. Do you want me to read you mine so that you can feel better?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I have the Chargers, the Jets, the Bengals, the Titans, the Vikings, the Bucks, the Giants, the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Texans, and the Seahawks. Should I read you the all-pro team Courtney has?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got the Broncos, the Bills, the Ravens, the Jags, the Packers, the Panthers, the Eagles, the Rams, the Bears, the Dolphins, and NFL news. Courtney's a traitor.
I win.
Mm.
Courtney magically wins the draft every year.
You know, I'll have to tell you, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, right?
Yeah, you do.
I think that's my favorite team this year.
I agree.
I mean, I'm really excited to cover the Allen brothers. I can't. They're my
I'm
favorite.
so bummed.
So I'm actually really pumped about that.
I guess with my dog beep of a list of teams, I guess oddly maybe the Titans because there could be a lot of interesting play that happens there.
I loved covering the Titans. They were my sleeper team last year. There's always one person that was going to get you points.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to really surprise you guys. I think my favorite is going to be the Browns. Because
Yeah?
without Johnny Manziel, there's going to be nothing to report.
Life's a little better without Johnny.
It's going to be very easy. It's a rebuilding year. It is.
We
what
don't
it is.
mean that, Johnny.
I do.
I do.
Johnny, who has women lose hearing. And I think my
Who was
least is
indicted
probably
today.
Washington. Because I don't say their
Aw.
other name. So that's going to be awkward for all year.
My least favorite is obviously the 49ers.
I've got Jay Cutler, and I'm depressed about that, and no Forte. So
Yeah,
or
there's no
Beck.
silver lining now.
There is no silver lining. It's just.
Are you
good
sure
letters.
you're not bummed about having the Panthers, Courtney, or the Broncos, or the Packers,
Green Bay.
or NFL?
Jaguars, Ravens. They got good ones. Yay! Well, that's our show, you guys. Thank you. We made that draft pretty good, awesome, and I'm happy we got the teams we all wanted. So, again, you guys, you can listen to us on iTunes and Blog Talk Radio /Her Fantasy Football. You can chat with us on Twitter at Her Fantasy FB. You can also find all of us on Twitter with our name, Her FFB. So at Ashley Her FFB, at Brandon Her FFB, and at Courtney Her FFB. This was fun. Happy draft, guys. That means football is starting. It's real. We can actually start building their teams in our minds on like how it's going to affect previous fantasy players on our team. So this is good. This is good. Yes.
It's good.
It is May, guys. It is almost football season. So until next time, you guys, no more faking it.